Well, Christmas is now officially over, and as we get to the end of the holidays, the last thing we have is New Year's, and then we're already in 2024. It's just crazy to think about, and we're already going to gear up for some exciting new reveals and announcements from Nintendo, and of course the speculation essentially starts now. But we're going to try to save some of our biggest talks for the beginning of next year, as this year we're going to kind of end up talking about how the year actually turned out, how was 2023, and my favorite games of the year, and those will be coming in the next couple of days. But today, I want to talk about something that a lot of different YouTubers and content creators on the platform are talking about right now, and that's the potential for a big presentation to be coming very soon. Normally, we get 3 Nintendo Direct presentations a year, one in February, one in June, and one in September, and then that's it for the year. Of course, every now and then there's a sprinkle of a mini direct or a partner showcase or even an indie world or maybe a Pokemon Presents, but in the most part, those are the 3 main things that we have in the year to look forward to for brand new announcements from Nintendo. But there's one more thing that Nintendo has done in the past, and they did it for the reveal of the Nintendo Switch, which was the Switch presentation, where they had tons of investors and everybody's eyes glued onto the screen to see not only more information on their upcoming console, the Nintendo Switch, but also brand new games coming to the console as well. And one thing I will say is that they kind of blew this out of the water, and they wanted to make sure that everyone in the world was paying attention to this new console. They could not afford another fluke where the marketing just wasn't great and they weren't really conversating what the Wii U actually was and wasn't being very transparent with it, where this time they said we gotta hold a big presentation and let everyone know what the Switch is and show them why they're gonna actually want this console. Even though it was about an hour-long presentation, there were some parts where we just sat and listened to developers talk about it, but it kind of gave it an E3 feel, as developers came on the stage, revealed games, or revealed different aspects about the Switch, and even third-party developers coming on stage and talking about how they're getting their games on the Switch as well. It was really cool to see, and it was very evident from the get-go that Nintendo was taking this console more serious than ever. This presentation aired on January of 2017, so this was very early in the year and kind of took the spot for the Nintendo Direct that year. I guess you can't even really say that, because there still was a spring Nintendo Direct. It was just bumped 2 months later into April. So yeah, Nintendo still had all their presentations, 3 Nintendo Directs that year, and a Nintendo Switch presentation, making it a stellar year for announcements and things to get excited for. The next couple of months, we will now be 7 years since the Nintendo Switch released, back in March of 2017, which means a lot of people's eyes are gearing up and ready to see this brand new Nintendo Switch console, or whatever this next console is going to be. The rumors have been all over the place, and earlier this year, we've learned that a lot of developers have their hands on dev kits, which is a really good sign, showing that this new console is not too far away. Before we dive into a presentation and how likely it is, leakers have been talking about this non-stop this year, over and over again, talking about how the beginning of this year was going to be pretty massive for Nintendo fans, and that this new console was looking to release around the summer or even fall/holiday season, which sounds about right, and that means we're probably due for an announcement very, very soon if they want to get this console around middle or end of next year, which is leading a lot of people to wonder if we're going to be having a presentation very soon. Yes, we can always expect that February Nintendo Direct, but is this year going to be different? Are we going to have a January presentation followed by like a March or April Nintendo Direct again? Or is it going to be a presentation in January and a Nintendo Direct in February? Who knows? Now, I will probably make a whole video about this because this is very interesting, but we've been talking about one of the leakers a lot throughout the years, and that is Zippo, where he has been definitely right about a lot of things and definitely wrong about a lot of things. But Zippo just posted a lot recently. Like the last couple of weeks, they posted a lot talking about it's about to heat up really big in the beginning of next year, that the new Switch is coming soon, that we're about to be hearing information, it's the calm before the storm and all this stuff, and posting information about a Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time remake, a big open world 3D Mario game, and then all of a sudden, their blog has finally been removed. This blog has been up for the last like 5, 6, 7 years, and probably longer than that, but that's how long I remember seeing the thing. It has been up for a very long time, and to see that it's gone now clearly shows that maybe they were right about some of their leaks, and Nintendo ninjas took them down. So yeah, it looks like there might be some credibility to some of their last couple of posts. Unfortunately, I don't have access to those anymore, and probably a lot of people don't unless they archived them. But yeah, there was a lot of talk about the next Switch, the next open world 3D Mario, a Zelda Ocarina of Time remake, and lots more, which is nothing new. A lot of leakers have been talking about all those things, and it just seems that maybe Nintendo caught the eye of Zippo and took him down, which is very interesting, and of course is something that we have to think about when, speculating the future. But let's talk about this presentation. If Nintendo was to have a presentation in 2024, how would it look, and would it be the same one as we saw in 2017 for the Nintendo Switch? First off, you gotta remember that this is two completely different times. For the Wii U, there was nothing left coming out. I mean, seriously, it was on its last couple of legs, and we had no clue what games were to come from Nintendo. We had absolutely no word on anything, and there was a lot of series that were definitely due for new games. Nintendo had to come through on new titles because we just didn't know anything, so they revealed an onslaught of new games, like 1-2 Switch, whether you like it or not, where it's kind of like a party game you could play with a Joy-Con. They revealed ARMS being a brand new experimental IP where you kind of just box each other, which was so cool still, and I would love to see more IPs like this from Nintendo. They revealed Splatoon 2 after only being on the Wii U at the time, which was a huge announcement. They revealed a brand new 3D sandbox Mario game, which we haven't gotten since Super Mario Sunshine on the GameCube, which absolutely blew everyone's minds and obviously turned out to be one of the greatest Mario games of all time, if not the greatest. And they revealed Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which was also kind of out of nowhere. They revealed a Fire Emblem Heroes game, Shin Megami Tensei 5, and also Octopath Traveler, which were stellar RPGs, and everyone fell in love with this lineup. I mean, it was a little bit of everything for every type of audience. There was no way anyone can complain because you had JRPGs, you had 3D action adventure games, you had third-person shooters with Splatoon, you had brand new IPs, family games. They covered it all, and that's not even touching on all the third-party companies that were there like Sega and EA. It was packed to the brim of fun announcements. Of course, they closed the show with a brand new trailer for Breath of the Wild, announcing that it was a launch title for the Switch coming day one. So yeah, and they didn't even announce a lot of other things. For instance, like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe being a thing. It's just like, oh, after the show, yeah, that's the thing, and that's coming day one as well. There was just so much stuff jam-packed into this presentation, they couldn't even fit it all in the show, which shows that Nintendo truly wanted everyone to be excited for this new console. So can Nintendo replicate that for a brand new Switch? Well, first off, I don't think they have to, and I don't even think it would make a lot of sense, considering the fact that there's so many games that we just know that is coming next year already. It's not like we're going in blind. Now, a lot of these games, and pretty much almost every single one of these games next year, is a port or remake or some type of DLC of an already existing game, because the only real brand new game that we know of is Princess Peach Showtime, where the other games are remakes or remasters like Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, or even Luigi's Mansion 2. Yeah, we've already played those games. They're older games. And yes, Splatoon 3 is finally getting its side order DLC, but yeah, it's DLC from an already existing game that came out a couple of years ago. Those are a lot of games that we know about though. That's the problem, and a lot of those games are coming in the first half of the year, so would that conflict with a Nintendo Switch Pro presentation where they're revealing brand new games specifically for that new console? Maybe, and that's where I see the problem becoming. So look, I still am on Team Switch Pro coming next year, but I'm going to say it's going to be at the very end of the year. I don't think it's going to be beginning or even middle, because there's so many remakes, and there's even more rumors of Metroid Prime 2 and 3, of older Zelda games, Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, other games as well, like F-Zero, maybe even Kid Icarus, and just tons of remakes and remasters that still might be happening. And it seems like next year is really going to be a big remaster year until at least the end of the year, where we get one or two big games. There's also some timing differences. For one, the Switch presentation was just a couple of months before the release of the console, which we are very early for a presentation, I feel like, because the console is not coming out at the beginning of next year. I'm saying that right now. Also, they announced the Switch presentation like 2 or 3 months in advance, and if there was a big presentation coming at the beginning of next year, I feel like we would have known about it months ago, or something. We would have heard something, right? Well, it could have been different because the Wii U was just kind of dead, so they needed to get people excited about something ahead of time, where they don't necessarily need to do that with the Switch Pro or whatever, because the Switch is already selling like hotcakes still. And yes, we still have tons of games to look forward to, so there's no real reason to get people super excited about a presentation super early, so it's hard to say. Something else that I keep thinking about is the fact that we are not ready, I think, for some major games yet. There's a couple of games that they could definitely show off, and don't get me wrong, they could probably still make a presentation for this new console. They could show off that big open world 3D Mario, because God knows we are due for a 3D Mario game, and all the rumors have been suggesting that that is going to be the launch title or a game that comes very close to the release of the console, which makes sense. But what else would they reveal? Because it's still going to be a little while before we see anything else, where I feel like in 2025 is the time where we're going to come around that cycle again with Luigi's Mansion 4, maybe even Mario Kart X, or whatever that Mario Kart 10 rumor is saying, Crossroads, whatever the next Mario Kart is, maybe even Smash Brothers by then. There's a lot of things that could eventually be coming, but I feel like for 2024, it's still too soon for a lot of those series. So as much as I would love a full-on Nintendo Switch Pro presentation, I don't see it being very likely for next year. It's definitely possible, especially with games like Metroid Prime 4, the big 3D Mario game, maybe something new with Donkey Kong, and maybe some party games like Mario Party and Mario Sports game. They definitely could do it, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, I feel like the best bet is that Nintendo just reveals a big Switch Pro game first, and then later on down the road reveals the console and more games with it. And honestly, we don't even know what is a Switch game and what is a Switch Pro game right now. For instance, Luigi's Mansion 2 could be on the next console if it comes out in the summer. I doubt it, but another game, Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, looks really good. It could be a game for the next console. We just don't even know it yet. Because both of those games did not get a release date, especially Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, where Luigi's Mansion 2 said summer of 2024, The Thousand Year Door just said 2024. So who knows at this point? And also considering the fact that Nintendo could easily show off a big impressive game and just say 2024 or holiday 2024 at the beginning of next year. And what game is that going to be? It's got to be 3D Mario. I honestly would be shocked to the core if we have this February Nintendo Direct and we still do not see 3D Mario. Like I said, next year will be 7 years since the Switch released and also 7 years since Mario Odyssey. So it is definitely time, and I really don't know what other new big game that they would reveal. I mean, I seriously don't think there's going to be any more massive games for the Nintendo Switch. I'd be very surprised because you're kind of out of series. The only other things I can think of is Metroid Prime 4 and Donkey Kong. It's the only things that it's time for, and I don't think they're going to put a brand new fascinating Donkey Kong game on the Switch when it's on its way out, when they could just throw that on the new console. Now, if it's a 2D Donkey Kong, maybe, but if they are making a 3D Donkey Kong like the rumors suggest, it's got to be the next Switch. And then honestly, Metroid Prime 4, I don't think even has a chance to come out on a Nintendo Switch. I think that's definitely a Switch 2 or Switch Pro exclusive for sure, and I actually would prefer it to be so, because I want it to have the best graphics and the best looking in the entire series. Metroid Prime Remaster already looks phenomenal on the Switch. I couldn't imagine what it would look like on even better hardware. So I can't lie, next year is kind of a mystery. I could see it going either way, but I think regardless, we're going to get some type of announcement that alludes to the next console. I think if they do announce a big game at the end of a February Direct, that big game is going to be tied to a new console, and they just might not tell us right away. They'll just say, hey, big brand new 3D Mario coming, or something along those lines. But at the end of the day, this new console has to come soon, because there's just games that need to be released. For instance, the big 3D Mario, we need Mario back, and we can't just keep waiting 8, even 9 years for another 3D Mario game. It would just be outrageous. But I will say, if Nintendo does decide to go the presentation route, there's still a lot that they could show off. They could show off an Ocarina of Time remaster from the ground up that just looks as good as a brand new Zelda game. They obviously have that big open world 3D Mario game from the rumors. They could have a new Mario Party or a new sports game, maybe a brand new IP jumping into the scene, a brand new party game in the vibe of Switch Sports and Wii Sports, maybe something along those lines to have as some fun extra titles that we weren't even thinking about, and other IPs getting their chances to shine before some of these ones we know come back around, like Kirby and Zelda and even Smash Brothers and Mario Kart. But please let me know what you think of this idea of a presentation happening within the next month. Do you think it's likely? Could it happen in January or February, or are we just going to have our February Direct and not hear anything about the new console still? Let me know in the comments down below, and before you go, a lot of you watching this video right now are not yet subscribed. So prove to me that you're excited for the new console by leaving a like and subscribing before we head into the new year, because I have some awesome videos planned for you guys. But thank you so much for tuning in, and like always, I'll see you all on the next one. See you guys.